this is a place that you know very well, man, and this is crazy, man. There's 3 guys that were serving time in Victorville Federal Prison were just found guilty. Actually, they took a deal. They were they pled guilty to second-degree murder for a murder or a killing that happened in 2013. They're just being the case is just wrapping up this week. What, 10 years later?
Damn.
So my first question is, why would it take so long? And these aren't. It's not like it took so long to figure out who was involved. They knew who was involved initially. In fact, it was 4 guys that were involved in this back in 2013. 3 people ended up pleading guilty. The 4th person, I don't know what's going on with that person. But why 10 years to eventually end this case?
You know what? That's a damn good question. I don't know if the wheels turn slow just based on, the evidence that they have because they were in there. It wasn't like a gun or a knife was used. It was a physical altercation. That was the report said hands and feet were used, and even though the person who's deceased was badly beaten, it wasn't like you stabbed him or shot him. So I'm thinking they were trying to figure out the appropriate charges to charge these guys with based on was it an accident? Was it they didn't mean to go this far? I mean, I don't have the answer to the questions. I'm wondering why it took 10 years as well. That's a long damn time.
Now, this is the same year that you was released from the feds.
No doubt. Same year I was in there. I was actually at this same facility where this happened at. I do have a little knowledge on it about where it happened at, and I could picture it vividly going down right there because in that same spot I've seen other shit go down right there. From what I'm hearing, it happened in the evening time, nighttime. So, the cameras might have couldn't get a good shot at them, but they immediately got these guys. But 10 years later, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. That's a long damn time.
Now, how many different yards are at Victorville?
You got 3 different prisons. You got the USP, you got the FCI 1, you got the FCI 2. All of them rocking and rolling. And it's a lot of more lifers over there at the USP, but it's lifers on every yard, and at that prison, it's not a prison for the weak by far. You hit the prison, your shit ain't right, you getting rolled up. You know what I mean? I know because at this same facility where this happened at, Alex, I happen to be a part of setting the rules here back when we opened this facility in 2005 when there was 50 people there. You know what I mean? I went through the politics to make sure the Bloods got to sit where the Bloods sit. You know what I mean? It got to food strikes to the administration and the warden to try to make shit happen, for them to put TVs in, for them to do certain shit for us, at this very facility. So, I was an intricate part in going to the hole a lot for, rebelling against the system. Also, we was there when it was 150 blacks, period, and 900 Mexicans, sorted out between, Paisas and Sereños and, So I'm very familiar with it. I know the dealings with it. One thing I know about it is, if you ain't on your shit or you ain't right, you gonna get your ass whipped or you gonna get stabbed. That's just how over there at that Victorville too, man. Is that's how it was.
So you said that you're familiar with the location where this took place, and you said that a lot of stuff happens there. Is it because it's kind of like in the cut somewhere?
No, it's just because it may take the police or the COs a length of time to get there. It's kind of furthest away from where the lieutenant's office is. So it's going to take you probably a little more time to get to that location than some others.
Okay, and when something like this happens and the COs eventually are called to come, what happens to the rest of the prison at that point?
Well, they got this thing called the deuces. It's called when they hit the deuces, it's an alarm that goes off and you're basically supposed to, and I went to the hole for this before, but you're supposed to freeze wherever you at. When them deuces go off, you stand right where you stand. They gonna run to where they gonna run to. They gonna handle their situation, and until they say, everybody to their units, you basically gonna stand in that one particular area, unless it's one of your homeboys or it's one of your peoples. If it's something going on with the Mexicans or something going on with the, Asians or something like that, I'm gonna stand there and just chill, till them people do what they got to do, But if it got something, I see one of my homies, I'm not finna stand nowhere. I'm finna run over there and get cracking with it. You know what I mean? And
Do they have a gun tower there?
not at the 1 and 2. They don't.
Okay.
That's what makes the Fed so dangerous. That's what makes the 1 and 2 yard so much dangerous. They have a gun tower at the USP. They do not have a gun tower at the 1 and 2. So when your ass start getting stabbed, guess what? You just getting stabbed until the police come. Or you really getting stabbed until the motherfucker stabbing you get tired, man.
So there's really no threat from a gunner in the tower to take you out when it's time to get it cracking on the yard.
No, that's why it gets cracking on the yard. That's why it's as rough as it is. And people be like, what a state this and state this. I've been on the Tehachapi 3 yard. Gun tower in the kitchen, gun tower in the unit, gun tower everywhere. So it still cracks off. But this is why people say, the feds is this. For one, Victorville is a gangbang facility. You know what I mean? If you at either one of those yards, it's gang members there now. A lot of gang members are in the feds now. It's not the 1980s where, it was nice and cushy. They still have those spots somewhere. It's not at Victorville. You know what I mean? So when they get cracking at Victorville, man, it take manpower to come stop those situations. By the time the police get there, out where this situation happened, it's done, man. It's over.
Now, I'm surprised that as active as Victorville is, that they wouldn't want to put a gun tower in there to have some more control for things like this.
Well, for one, that take money, and I believe that when they built medium security prisons and called them that, they didn't felt they needed them. They probably didn't understand how many gang members was going to be designated to one prison, how many gang members were actually coming to federal prisons nowadays. You got to understand, you seeing every day on the news, you got the bank robbers, you got the smash and grabs, you got a lot of these crimes that's resulting in federal crimes is gang members. So now when you get gang members out of medium for shit, and you can't send them all to the pen. Either they points not there, or you can't just stuff all the pen, the USPs, so man, when it gets cracking on that Victorville yards 1 and 2, man.
So do they do like a lockdown when they tell everybody to freeze? Do they eventually lock the prison down like they do in the States where everything's cut off, no more visiting? There's no everyone's going to the hole, or they just shut the whole yard down for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Well, they're gonna immediately shut the yard down. Everybody to their cells. If you in your unit and they hit the deuces, soon as they hit the deuces, you're gonna know, because the CO and all the administrative staff that's in your building are gonna run out the unit and go to the facilities. When they hit them deuces, it's all hands on deck. If it's a secretary in a suit, if it's a case manager in a dress, if it's you running your ass to that situation, So when you do that, shit, guess what we doing if I'm in the unit? I'm going to get my ice, put my last little food in the microwave. I'm trying to, get my clothes out the dryer. You know what I mean? You trying to get your shit together because you finna be locked down. Once they lock the facility down, everybody get locked down. They designate who is involved. They go to those unit, get those dudes, take them to the hole. Once they realize that, after that, what takes so long sometimes to open up the yard is to see that if we open it up, the two parties that got into it, is it going to be some more retaliation? If it's a situation where they can just isolate, it was an isolated incident, they'll open back the yard later that day. You know what I mean? But if it's a certain group, certain gangs that then got into it, they know it's going to be some more shit later. They gon' lock it down and keep it locked down till they feel, I've been in situations, man, where they didn't came and, I remember one time they took the 21 Crips to the hole and took me, and it was a Crip situation. I'm like, what the fuck I'm in here for? They like, we knew you knew what was going on before it went on. We knew the Crips told you what was cracking. UFG, we know how you rock and roll over here. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I don't. They knew I didn't have shit to do with it, but that's just how it was, And eventually, they let everybody out. Once they let everybody out, it won't be no more smoke. That's just how it is, bro. You gotta take it on the chin when they take you to the hole for something that you don't got shit to do with. Food strike. We did a food strike. We waited till every year the region comes to look at the prison, because the region is the ones who allocate money for prisons. The region came. Every time the region come, they want to feed us good and act like they treating us good and shit. We did a food strike. We did a sit-in rather when the region came. Oh, that shit looked so bad on the prison, man. Soon as in region people going, they got to locking our ass up for sure. And they got designated people who they feel got some say-so around this yard that they gonna automatically go get whether you was involved or not. That's just how it is, you know. So it's a delicate. They got their shit together in order how they handle shit, you know.
Now, when something like this is gonna go down, like it went down on October 1st, 2013, do the people that are about to get active let people from other races and other groups say, hey, we about to handle some business, we just letting you know so y'all can stay out the way?
Yeah, sometimes they do. You know, I've had groups come to me and say, man, get out the way. Hey, you know, it's a Sereno. Hey, man, get out the way. Tell your folks. They'll just be telling me personally. It's not like they make no alarm because, of course, you still got rats that's gangsters, you know, that, you know. And but I've been told plenty of times, hey, homie, how your homies, you know, off the yard, we gon', you know, and that was just a personal. They wasn't supposed to be telling me or nothing, but that was just some personal they gave me. And I tipped the homies, hey, homie, it's gonna get cracking. So, you know, and don't go out there that first unlock, you know, or something like that, you know. Or I done had motherfuckers come to me and say, hey, homie, if dude them owe you some money, get your money, homie, because we finna go up on this dude. And I done had to go do it before. Hey, homie, you owe the homie some money, run that, you know. And man, what's up, FG? No, I just need that bread, homie, you know. And you gotta, you know, it's just business, you know. But sometimes it don't. I don't know if this was a planned attack or if dude disrespected them out on the yard, you know, or something of that nature, you know, and it just went down how it went down. So in that case, no, you wouldn't get a tip off. You would just see it cracking, you know. But sometimes, you know, some of these things are well planned.
Yeah, because they actually charged 4 people for assaulting and killing this guy. Javier Sandez is the guy that got killed on October 1st of 2013. And they charged 4 people. A guy named Patino, who was 39 out of Riverside, Ruiz, who was 48 out of San Diego, Villegas, 41 from LA, and Reyes, 37 from LA. But what's crazy is the Patino, this guy was only serving a 16-month sentence, and now he got caught up in a whole case that's going to probably end up costing him probably 20 years.
Nah, no doubt. You know, and that's the unfortunate shit about prison. That's the unfortunate thing about being a gangster. You know, you can come on a violation. It's homies that came back to the feds because they did their time and they got violated. Came back with 6 months on the violation. Points was still up, so they was gonna come to a gangster yard, you know, because that's where they left from. And when they get there, a riot get off, and they get stabbed 6 times, you know. And damn, I did 13 years, and it was cool. I come back for 6 months, man, to get stabbed 6 times. That's the way the ball bounced, man. And when we say suit up, you know what I mean? I know one time when I was in the state, homie, and I got into it with this dude, we was gonna get down. And one of the homies was like, man, this dude FG tripping, man. I go home in 6 days. You know what I mean? You know, I heard him say that. You know what I mean? You know, and you know, and I gave him a look, homie. It ain't over till it's over. You when you go home is when you go home. Up until the day you go home, bro, anything can happen. And that's just really how it is. Don't get me wrong. There's ways to stay out the way a little bit, but at the same time, man, if you call the duty to rock and roll, shit, you got to rock and roll. They situation though could have been some shot caller shit. He could have got called. I don't give a fuck how much time you go. Y'all, you and you go handle that. It could have went down like that. You know, the shit. They was from San Diego, Los Angeles, and somewhere else. That wasn't a one gang thing. That wasn't like that was some 18th Streets, or that wasn't like that. You get what I'm saying? Somebody, you know, bigger than them probably shit. They mean you and y'all make that happen. And they had to make it happen.
Yeah, I was checking that out. That they're all from different parts of the state.
Yeah.
Riverside, San Diego, and the other 2 are from LA. And that's kind of messed up. Like if you're on the yard and you're called to duty, I mean, why not just pick the dudes who's doing at least 150 months, you know, and they ain't got as much to lose as a guy that's got 1 year left.
Nah, no doubt, but that ain't how gangster shit work. You know what I mean? Because the dude who doing the motherfucking, 150 months probably done already put some work in. He could have came with 6 months and put some work in and end up with 150 months. You don't know what he already did for the gang, for the system, you know what I mean, for the race, you know. So you 3 dudes ain't certified. Y'all ain't did shit. You got 16 months. Your hands ain't been dirty. Go get them dirty. You know, and that's the that's how that shit works sometimes. I remember one time, like I say, it was a couple homies that they had big homies on the yard from their neighborhood, you know, and they big homies told them go up in that cell and handle that, you know what I mean? Go up in there and stab the shit out of dude, you know, and I just happened to be so cool with one of the youngsters and shit, and he was like, man, L, you know, I ain't never did that shit, you know what I mean, man? I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? You know, and I say, man, you know, I can't step in on that call, you know, but at the same time, tell them to go with you. You know, all these big homies and shit out there. And I'm going to put this out there just period. All you big homies out there sending these dudes that ain't never been on no missions. Trust me, I don't condone it. You know what I mean? But sometimes this shit happens. You sending dudes out there on blind missions, they ain't never did nothing. You know what I mean? But you want to call shot, go do it with them. You know, and put your life on the line with them. You know what I mean? If you so adamant about it, and that's the whole thing about it, you know, you got dudes just telling dudes what to do, Alex, and they fucking their life off trying to go do it, you know?
Yeah, and that's probably one reason why some of these dudes be like, man, I'm gonna go on a PC yard because they are sending me on missions. I didn't come to prison to do missions.
No doubt, you know, especially and especially some stupid shit. It ain't like, you know, it's a grudge you got with the dude. I don't got a grudge with the dude, you know, certain shit like that, or, you know, but it just say if the dude was a rat though, you know, you got to send somebody up in there to handle that. And, you know, hey, different people get picked, man. You when you sign up for this gangster shit, a lot come with it, Alex.
Well, the guy that was doing 16 months, Patino, he was doing the least amount of time of the other three. Christopher Sneaky Ruiz, he was already doing 10 years for racketeering and methamphetamine violations. Jose Torch Villegas, I forget how much time he was doing. Adilson Shanky Reyes, he was doing 135 months. But what's interesting, only 3 guys took this plea deal to plead guilty of second-degree murder. This 4th guy, Adilson Shanky Reyes, I was expecting to see his name in this case, but it's not. It hasn't even been a part of this case. Mm-hmm. And I wonder why initially he was charged like 5-6 years ago, but now today he's not even part of the case.
Many factors. I mean, Alex, he could have just been there and didn't do not one kick, not one hit, not one, you know. And how do you charge a person who didn't participate at all? He didn't run or nothing. He just didn't, you know, maybe the other 3 was on him so tough, he never actually participated. You should be able to, I mean, you know, most of the time they will give you accessory after the fact or a still accessory, you know, or he could have told. You already know he could have, you know, but he definitely could have cooperated.
But by the time the COs run to this place, to this location, to this spot, they don't know who did what, right? Because everybody's already fall back into different positions.
Yeah, but they rely on camera. They got cameras everywhere now. You know, back in the old days when they had Old Folsom and Soledad and, you know, Jamestown and stuff like that back in the day, they didn't have no cameras in them facilities. You know what I mean? Everything relied on either somebody gonna tell you or you just wasn't gonna find out. Or you was gonna find out once the next dude got stabbed tomorrow, you'd be like, oh, he must have been the one that did it. You know, these newer facilities have cameras everywhere. They can track you walking all the way from your unit. You know, once they narrow it down to what unit you in, you know, sometimes they can, you know, hit certain cells because they could look at certain races. Okay, we can count the blacks out, or we can count the Asians out, or we can count the, you know, and then some of these SIS lieutenants and stuff like that, their job is to know who the gang members are, you know, so they can see your face. Oh man, that's Sharky, or man, that's FG. We already know who it is, you know what I mean? So that could be a easy way they got them too.
Now, this was obviously a blind spot where there was no camera. But would you expect today that Victorville put a camera in this little spot in this little area?
It wasn't a blind spot. It was in a wide open space. It just was so far from the lieutenant's office that, like I said, it was going to take them a minute to get there. It wasn't a blind spot at all. This was out on the yard, out on the basketball courts, to the far basketball courts. You know, they have a big yard over there at Victorville. I mean, a huge yard. You know, and you can go so far back to the yard, man. I'm talking about I've seen a dude one day out there drinking. You know, police get to chasing him. He got a gallon of hooch in his bag. They get to chasing him. He's running all over the yard while the police chasing him, homie, drinking his drink. And he didn't stop till he was finished with that. Man, he went in there drunk as a motherfucker, man. But this is how big this yard is. So it wasn't a blind spot. It just was a spot, like you said, if you do it in a unit, they can get to you fast. You do it in a child hall, library, things of that nature, they can get to you fast. You get out there on that yard and you get kind of towards the back of that yard, it just takes them that much longer. But it's cameras all over that setup.
So do you think a camera actually captured the assault on Javier Sandez?
Every bit of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
every bit of it. And they obviously didn't care if but this goes on all the time. It's just this dude happened to die. I don't believe that, I can't say, I wasn't there, or the intent, but this thing happens all the time where people don't die. So I can't even say that their intent was to kill him, opposed to, because why they didn't stab him, man? You know how big they got knives at Victorville too? They got knives this long, bro. They could have stabbed the shit out so when I say I don't think they were trying to kill him, I don't. Because they could have stabbed this dude 100 times before the police got there, and they didn't. So I don't think they was going to commit murder. I think they was going to just beat this dude so bad that they going to send him to the hospital, get him off the yard and all that. But I think they expected this dude to die.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because if they wanted to stab him, they could have stabbed him. And I'm assuming stabbing somebody is easier than if your intent is to kill him. Stabbing him is easier than just using your bare hands.
Oh, no doubt. Plus, if your intent is to kill him, you're going to do it in the most brutal way you can. You know what I mean? You're going to set the tone. You're going to hit him all in the neck. You're going to do everything you can. Even if you start off with fighting, once you get him on the ground, homie, you're going to start gashing him. So I just believe, just in my experience, this probably wasn't even a planned murder. I think this dude happened to just die on him, and they was like, fuck. You know what I mean? And them fighting their cases, them seeing it on camera, them even probably admitting, bro, we were just fucking him up. We didn't expect him to die. Attorneys can fight, public defenders can fight, or if they had paid attorneys, and they, it was an accident, So I don't know, for them to plead guilty on a second degree, me personally thinking if they pled guilty, they promised them a certain time range, and 10 to 20 or something, it carries life. The maximum statute on that is a life sentence. But for them to plead guilty after 10 years, I believe they came to some kind of agreement.
Now, in the indictment, it says that the allegation that Javier Sandez was escorted to the rec yard in the prison where he was attacked. The statement says Patino, Ruiz, and Villegas are accused of striking and kicking him until he was no longer breathing, at which point Reyes instructed them to continue beating him, according to prosecutors. So that's interesting. And Reyes is the one that's not, that didn't plead guilty. He's not one of the three.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Adilson, Shanky, Reyes, I guess, according to the indictment, is the one that was calling the shot, I guess. So would you say that kicking and striking him is not really intending to kill the person, but when the fourth guy says, don't stop, do it, continue doing it, and then at a certain point, the kicking and the strikings will lead to death.
Nah, because Alex, you out of 100 times, it won't. I've seen some dudes take some brutal ass whoopings with steel toe boots. You know what I mean? Jaw broke, eye busted, ribs broke, all that. And yeah, they fucked up. Yeah,
so this could have been a DP.
Could have been a DP.
Yeah.
The way you said they escorted him out there, he probably went out there and was taking his DP. It could have simply been that. If they escorted you, can't nobody escort you nowhere. You could somebody come say, man, come on, you could start fighting right there. If you know what I mean. So he could have went out there, man, and purposely took. But Alex, I've been at this institution. I've seen DPs go on. You got spots to go DP somebody that you won't get caught. You know what I mean? Everybody know that been to Vicky Deuce, you got a bathroom right there that multiple DPs go down in, but they may have put a bathroom. I think they put a camera at that bathroom while I was there, because that was one of the DP spots. But it's you could have DP'd him in a cell. It's a lot of logic, because the COs leave and go outside sometimes. Somebody watch the door, get cracking, boom, DP the fool. You know what I mean? Mop up the blood and everything that's in the cell. You actually can have time to do all that, They took it to the yard. Hey man, you know, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they pled guilty to second degree, it tells you that they weren't even trying to charge, that they weren't going to go forward to first degree on this. So they must know, the prosecutors, of how it went down and why it went down, and said, we'll just give them the second degree. But the second degree is, you still getting time, though.
Hell yeah.
It's almost,
you know, that you ain't promised a dub. I'm just saying the statute carry a life sentence. You know, you could get a life sentence. You know, I'm only saying, just based on that they didn't go to trial and lose it, I'm believing that they was offered some numbers in between, you know, from here to here. You know, that's what my take is. You know, I'm not taking a second degree murder, just pleading guilty on it without some numbers. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go to trial with it.
No, I looked up Adilson Shanky Reyes, the guy that, according to the indictment, was the one that told them to keep kicking and beating them. It says on the BOP website that he's not in BOP custody, even though at the time he was serving 135 months. Maybe he just got released.
Yeah, because that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
135, you said 135 months?
Yeah.
That's 11 years. Yeah, you only gonna do 9 off 11. He may have went home.
But how would he escape this case when it says, according to the indictment, he's the one that pretty much quarterbacked the whole thing?
But he didn't do nothing. He didn't touch the guy, you know. You absolutely right. They usually would give you accessory, but this is a prison situation. That's not a street situation. I've seen a lot of times where people get stabbed and it's no repercussions to the stabber. You know what I mean? You know, and so I can't answer that out.
Thanks for checking out this short clip of the Streets and Scholars podcast with Alex Alonso and FG. If you want to check out the entire episode, visit your favorite podcast platform. We could be found on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, and iHeart. Just tap in on your cell phone, tablet, computer, or your favorite device, and guaranteed to get at least an hour of this fire content. And thanks for checking out another episode of Streets and Scholars.